What if Anakin told the Jedi Council about his marriage to Padme? That's our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy. Please hit the subscribe button and let's get right into this one. Our story begins inside of the Jedi Council chambers, shortly after the Battle of Coruscant and the rescue of Chancellor Palpatine. After Anakin returned to Coruscant and killed Count Dooku, he began having dreams of Padme dying in childbirth. These dreams were not just passing nightmares like he sometimes would have in battle. Instead, they were vivid, painful, filled with dread, and they left him shaken every time he wakes up. He was afraid to even fall asleep anymore. He would tell Yoda that somebody close to him is about to die, but Yoda would just coldly shake it off. It was the kind of dismissiveness that left Anakin feeling more alone than ever, a sense that the people he trusted most wouldn't help when it truly mattered. So, Anakin had to decide what was important to him, and with Dooku dead, the war was coming to an end. He didn't need to be a Jedi any longer. Anakin would decide to tell the entire Jedi Council about his marriage with Padme. He knew he may be expelled from the Jedi Order. His dreams of becoming a Jedi Master will never happen. But none of that mattered to Anakin right now. All he cared about was saving Padme, and if anyone in the council room knew how to save her, he must know. When Anakin entered the council, his hands were shaking, but he stood tall, every member of the council looking right at him. The air in the chamber was heavy, like the stillness before a storm, and time was seeming to slow down around him. Windu asked what was bothering him, and the words just escaped Anakin's mouth. He told the council that he and Padme Amidala are married, simple as that, right out in the open after so long. He said he's aware of the consequences, but recently, he's been having dreams of her dying, and if anyone can save her, he must know. Anakin glanced over to Yoda, and Yoda looked down in disappointment, but also in understanding. The council was silent, awkward, and cold, and for a moment Anakin felt like a child again, desperate for a guidance that never came, standing in front of the judging eyes of the council. He hoped for Master Yoda to finally tell him what he must do to save her, but instead, Windu spoke first. He simply said that Anakin has broken the Jedi Code, and there must be consequences, as there would be with any other Jedi. Anakin interrupted, saying he doesn't care. He just has to know how to save Padme's life. But Windu put his hand up, telling Anakin he's too bold, too arrogant. He's not thinking clearly, and this is exactly why the code forbids attachment. He demanded that Anakin immediately leave the council chambers, so the members can discuss what Anakin has told them today. These words stung, and Anakin gave him a cold look of hatred before leaving the council chamber. After he was gone, Yoda spoke, saying that in a dark place young Skywalker is, and that great care they must take. The tension in the chamber was high, and Windu shook his head. It wasn't that the council wanted to just let Padme die, but there was no way to know if these dreams were real or not. The Force was blanketed by darkness, and Anakin's attachment may be letting that darkness in. All of them knew it. Obi-Wan wanted to defend his old friend, but he really could not do it. He knew that Anakin was at least seeing Padme regularly, but him being married was a surprise to be sure even to Obi-Wan. And even if he did secretly think they were married, having Anakin reveal that to the council was so sudden, so alarming. It was a line that, once crossed, could not be uncrossed. Windu would speak again, declaring that Skywalker is unpredictable, and they cannot trust him with spying on the Chancellor any longer. It has become clear that his mind will not be focused on the task at hand, and if the Sith Lord is close to the Chancellor, it is possible that he will use Anakin's fear against him. Skywalker must be watched closely, and perhaps taken far away from the Sith Lord's watchful eyes, wherever he may be. The Council suspected that Darth Sidious was on Coruscant, so perhaps moving Anakin away from Coruscant would be the eventual move. Before long, the Republic Intelligence Unit would intercept a signal from General Grievous, as he was discovered on Utapau. In Council, Mundi suggested that Master Kenobi go to Utapau to engage the General. The Council was largely in agreement on this, and then Yoda spoke up, suggesting that young Skywalker go with Obi-Wan. It could help him clear his mind, and Coruscant has been clouded by the dark side. Being on the battlefront would be better for young Skywalker than just waiting for something to happen. After all, Obi-Wan has always been able to calm Anakin when no other Jedi could. Plus, whether the Council wanted to admit it or not, they need Anakin during this wartime. So the Council agreed Obi-Wan and Anakin will go together to Utapau destroy General Grievous, and end this terrible conflict. And once this is over, Anakin's fate within the Jedi Order will be decided once and for all. Obi-Wan was quite happy to hear this. It was only right that the duo go together to end the war. And when Obi-Wan softly knocked and entered Anakin's room, Anakin was looking out of the window, a blank look on his face. He'd been trying to meditate, trying to find answers in the Force, but no answers were coming to him. The city lights were painting his face in dull gold and blue as the endless traffic flew by, and Anakin said it's rude to enter without permission. He expected a sarcastic comeback, but all he got was a serious look from Obi-Wan, as Obi-Wan said he wasn't actually expecting Anakin to be in here. He rarely was. Anakin didn't know what to say, so Obi-Wan spoke again, telling Anakin that he is worried about him. He's been so distant lately, so cold in the Force. Anakin responded quickly, almost like he expected Obi-Wan to say that. He just said that he's frustrated with the Council, that's all. How can they just let Padme die? Obi-Wan sighed, understanding Anakin's frustrations, but his expression did not change, as he told Anakin that he's been assigned to go to Utapau with him to destroy General Grievous. Anakin turned from the window and said he expected the Council to have expelled him by now. Obi-Wan just said he wishes he knew more on what will happen to him, but perhaps this could relieve some of his stress. Anakin did feel so helpless just waiting for something to happen to her, and he knew he would not become a master anytime soon anyway, so what's the point of being on Coruscant if he can't access the restricted Jedi archives? Perhaps getting off-world will help him find the answers he's looking for, help him clear his mind. So Anakin nodded, saying he will go. It was settled. The two of them would go together. Anakin would spend the evening with Padme, telling her it will all be over soon, and he will make sure she survives. He will make sure the Jedi give him the answers that he needs. And at night, the two of them would blast into hyperspace. But still on Coruscant, Darth Sidious was at first angry at the decision to send Anakin away. But he would soon decide he can use this to his advantage. He will reveal himself to the Jedi, and he will kill whoever tries to arrest him. Anakin will be informed of this assassination attempt. He will assume the Council sent him away so they could assassinate the Chancellor without his interference. It was almost better this way, Sidious thought, and he prepared this fabricated evidence. The following morning, the Jedi Council would be discussing a crucial piece of evidence that they knew could end the Clone Wars immediately. A message was intercepted from Darth Sidious to Grievous, in which Sidious revealed that he is Palpatine, the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. Palpatine was saying that it was about time Grievous learned the truth as they pushed for victory. And when the Council Masters heard this message, it was declared that they must act quickly to destroy the Sith once and for all. In the back of his mind, Windu wondered if this could be a trap, but this was the opportunity he'd been desperately waiting for. So, Windu, Kolar, Tin, and Fisto would immediately get ready to go and confront Chancellor Palpatine. Meanwhile, on Utapau, Obi-Wan and Anakin were getting ready to attack Grievous. The plan was as simple as ever, and hopefully as effective as ever. They would simply jump down and hope the general fights them personally. Anakin loved the plan, and more so, he loved that it was somehow Obi-Wan's plan. So the two of them would jump down together, declaring that Grievous's reign of terror has come to an end. Grievous was surprised to see young Skywalker again. They can finally have a proper fight on even ground. And finally, killing Kenobi will feel so good. So Grievous ignited his four blades, spinning them around, cutting into the ground, and forcing the two Jedi to step back until they were ready to lunge at Grievous without another moment of hesitation. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, the four Jedi made their way to Palpatine's office. It was time to end the Sith Lord once and for all, arrest him, or do what's necessary, depending on his reaction. The doors slid open as they soon made their way inside of the office. Windu declared that Palpatine was under arrest, and Palpatine was so happy to hear those treasonous words. He'd been waiting so very long for this, and he was ready. He knew there would be no Skywalker coming to save him if he lost. Sidious ignited one blade, and he could feel in the Force the other blade hidden away in his statue across the hallway in the other room. It would be of great use to him soon, and Sidious flew in at the Jedi. Sidious was faster than anything the Jedi had ever seen, and before they even knew it, Tin and Kolar were dead on the floor, and just a second later, Fisto would follow. Windu began stepping backwards into the other room. He knew the fate of the galaxy was now solely on his shoulders. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Anakin were both chasing Grievous through the tight valleys of Pow City, until finally they managed to throw him off of his wheel bike. Like always, the general was running after realizing he was no match for these two Jedi at the same time. The chase echoed through the streets, with both Skywalker and Kenobi riding on a Voractyl lizard. After a long while, both Jedi would leap off of their lizards, slicing their blades into the tunnel ceiling. Debris rained down, and Grievous was thrown to the ground. He got back up, igniting his two remaining sabers. Anakin struck first, trying to slice Grievous's legs. Obi-Wan swung towards his head, blades locked together, before Grievous rolled back, kicking Obi-Wan in the process. Anakin attacked again, this time using the environment to his advantage, as he threw pieces of the broken wall at Grievous. Anakin was able to cut off one of his hands before Obi-Wan joined in once more, and it was all but over. Piece by piece, he was falling apart, as the two Jedi kept on advancing, delivering deep blows that Grievous could no longer hold back. Sparks flew from the lightsabers, and then from his destroyed limbs, as Grievous lost his final lightsaber and was finally struck down. For a moment, they just stood there, looking at Grievous's fallen body, trying to grasp the weight of what this defeat would mean for him, until they were finally interrupted by Commander Cody. He informed the generals that his men will begin advancing to higher levels to drive the Separatist forces further away from the city. Obi-Wan said this is good, and he and Anakin smiled at each other in what felt like a moment of triumph for the galaxy. It was time for them to go and finish this battle. But back in Palpatine's office, the Jedi and Sith sliced together as the glass shattered behind them from the large window. Wind began howling from outside as the two of them regained their balance. Windu pressed harder, feeding on Palpatine's hatred, turning it into focus. But then Sidious smiled, his sleeve flared as he reached into the statue and drew a second lightsaber, igniting it with a hiss. The twin red blades lashed out, one high, one low, and Windu faltered. A cut opened across Windu's arm. He dropped to a knee, and Palpatine was no longer the old man, hiding behind politics. He was fully Darth Sidious now. Lightning arced from the Sith Lord's fingers, forcing Windu to block, and Palpatine surged forward, eyes blazing as he struck Windu square in the chest with a force-fueled kick. Windu landed on his side, saber slipping from his fingers, skittering far out of reach, and Sidious flew all the way back in at him. No mercy. With a roar, the Sith Lord drove his lightsaber deep into Windu's chest. Mace gasped, but there was only silence. His eyes found the sky outside the office one last time, lightning crackling out of the storm clouds above, and Windu fell dead out of the office as his eyes would close one final time. Sidious stood watching the fallen Jedi, wind tearing at his robes. His face was a mask of hatred and triumph, lit from below by the red glow of his weapon. Coruscant continued to buzz beneath them, unaware that its fate had just shifted forever. And Palpatine didn't hesitate. His next move would be the ultimate victory of the Sith. Back on Utapau, Anakin and Obi-Wan were fighting on the front lines with their men. CIS forces were being pushed back. Clones were advancing. Victory was in their grasp. Everything felt right. But both Jedi suddenly felt a disturbance in the Force. Something dark. And then the order came in to all of the clones. Palpatine has executed Order 66. And to top it all off, Palpatine decided to change his plans. He was all-powerful, and Anakin foolishly left Coruscant. Sidious realized that Obi-Wan may be able to convince Anakin not to join the dark side, and even if Anakin does join the dark side, he will soon be powerful enough to overthrow him, Sidious thought. So, Sidious decided that Anakin will pay for leaving his unborn child behind, and he informed Cody that Anakin is a target just like any other Jedi. On Utapau, Anakin and Obi-Wan felt the disturbance just in time to dodge the incoming blaster bolts from the 212th, but there were far too many. They were completely in the open. Obi-Wan took a bolt off his wrist, and then he simply told Anakin to jump. Anakin didn't understand what was going on, and both of them leapt one story higher, to the small landing pad above. There was an LAAT gunship landing down, as clones were now pouring out of it, firing at the two Jedi. They rushed towards the clones, being forced to cut them down, and then getting inside of the ship. Anakin sat in the pilot seat, preparing to take off. But just when the gunship was about to rise, one of the cut-down clones was still breathing, and he turned on a thermal detonator, falling into the gunship. Anakin and Obi-Wan both reached out to contain the explosion, but the detonator, combined with the ship explosion, would be too much. Obi-Wan and Anakin were completely swallowed in flames, and the gunship fell hundreds of feet into the sinkhole below. The two Jedi, Skywalker and Kenobi, would die together. And all over the galaxy, Jedi were struck down. Aayla Secura, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, and thousands of Jedi in the temple were killed. Operation Nightfall went well overall, although there were definitely at least a few Jedi who would escape. Sidious never expected to kill all of them, but he knew that today, the idea of the Jedi Order would die out, and he would be in the Jedi Temple, helping to kill the Jedi in here. The most notable survivor would be Yoda, and he was determined to destroy Sidious. On Coruscant, Padme was crying out. The Jedi Temple was burning. She was desperately trying to contact Anakin, but with no luck. Palpatine would soon declare himself the Emperor, and when Yoda appeared to destroy him, Sidious would defeat the Grand Master, forcing him into exile. He was too old, too weak. He lost. The Jedi lost. The Republic became an empire. And around 1 week after the rise of the Empire, Padme would decide to leave politics behind for a bit after safely giving birth to the twins. She couldn't contact Anakin, and considering how many Jedi were struck down, thousands of them, it was likely that her husband was dead. She was forced to accept it, and she decided to raise twins in his honor. Palpatine was relishing in his victory over these days, as the Empire was established. It was not hard to create this empire, as when the Republic fell, he was already an emperor in everything but title. All he needs now is an apprentice. And on Naboo, Padme would settle down with her parents, as they would help to raise the twins. Ultimately, she decided not to tell the identity of her baby's father to anyone, not even her parents, although they suspected it was the Jedi that visited them when Padme came home just before the war. His name was Anakin, and he was protecting her during that time. Padme would never lose hope. Every now and then, she tried to contact Anakin in any way she could think of, but to no luck. Anakin was gone. Palpatine had taken complete control of the galaxy. The Empire was ruthless, and it was spreading. He ruled with an iron fist, and although he still had many supporters in the Senate, the rebellion would slowly start to develop, largely because of the seeds of doubt planted by Senators Amidala, Organa, and Mothma. 5 years later, the Emperor's personal ship would land on a small platform on his home planet of Naboo. 2 Red Guards emerged from the shuttle and escorted Palpatine to the nearest entrance to one of the greatest buildings in the heart of Naboo's capital city of Theed. Inside, he would meet personally with Senator Amidala. Outside, wind and rain whipped the windows. This meeting would be tense, and it was no secret that neither of them liked each other. Yet today, they both sat down to have dinner together. Palpatine's smug look was annoying to Padme, beyond annoying. He knew how much she hated her, and he was relishing in his ultimate victory. Padme was not at all happy about this, but she had to play the role of a good senator. She spoke, explaining that she does not appreciate the unannounced visit. Palpatine simply shook it off, a small smirk on his face, and he began talking, reminding her of the time they removed Chancellor Valorum from the office, and he was able to step in. Padme just asked why he's reminding her of that time. There was a long time of silence before the Emperor spoke again, explaining that he always appreciated her dedication, and he didn't want their friendship to completely disappear just because they don't agree on certain political views. Padme's face got dark. Palpatine took another sip of his wine, then spoke again, saying that he knows the truth about her pregnancy. She's raising twins, but they are not any ordinary children. They are gifted, like their father. Padme just stood up angrily, telling Palpatine he is not welcome here. He is not allowed to meet the children. His impact on Anakin was more than enough. He destroyed democracy, everything they once fought for. It's all gone now, because of him. She stormed out of the room, and Palpatine kept a sad expression on his face for a little while longer, pretending like these words actually hurt him. All he was doing right now was delaying, and before he stood up, one of his Red Guards gave him a signal that it was done, and they left immediately. On the ship now, Palpatine was looking outside of the window, a large smile on his face. There was still a raging storm outside. These kind of storms weren't very common for Naboo. He remembered the time his former master Plagueis told him that some Sith Lords throughout history were so powerful with the dark side that they could change the weather on planets. He wondered to himself if he was the one changing this weather with his pure darkness. And in the back of this ship, now next to him, were 2 small children, Luke and Leia, knocked out with a gas that should keep them unconscious for a long while. They're in better hands with him. These kids were undoubtedly Anakin's children. He could feel the Force flowing through them. It would be a shame for this potential to be wasted. He will take them to Korriban to officially begin their training. The future of the Sith was finally secured. And for Padme Amidala, as she re-entered the home where her family was supposed to be, she quickly found both of her parents on the floor. Padme felt her stomach drop as she sprinted into the children's room, only to find it completely empty. And then, the bounty hunter Palpatine hired to bring the children into his ship, the young, unsuspecting Boba Fett, hit the explosive button as the entire house of the Amidala family would go up in flames. It looked like some sort of gas leak, and her meeting with Palpatine was not on record. She and her family were the only ones to know about it, and now they were all gone. Her children would be kept safe as enforcers of the Sith. And as Palpatine's ship jumped to hyperspace, he couldn't be more satisfied with this ultimate victory. No one could stop him, and Luke and Leia would only know the dark side from here on out. And folks, that is our dark side story today, dark side ending. Collaboration with my editor on this one, as he didn't think I have enough dark side endings, so yeah, which is true. I do have a lot of my videos end in a very happy way, so if you need a palate cleanser after this one, or just a video that ends in a more lighthearted way, go check out just about any of my other ones. But yeah, we enjoyed this one. It's a fun story, it's takes just kind of a standard take on what if Anakin did this thing differently, and usually it'll go well. But in this one, Palpatine just says screw him. He left Coruscant. The children are still on Coruscant. Easy money, you're gonna just go get them and wait 5 years just to, so he doesn't have to raise them. But yeah, I think at 5 years old, it's perfect time to influence them to just join the Sith and be Darksiders forever. Basically be like, hey, your dad was he can manipulate some 5-year-olds. Anyways, appreciate you guys listening to this story. This was one I enjoyed reading and writing, so yeah, let me know what you thought down below. And we could do a part 2, by the way. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Could do a part 2 here. A little integration of Yoda, a little integration of who knows. I got some ideas for it if you guys like this part 1 or just this video overall. So thanks. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.